If your team seems lazy, toxic, or completely checked out, let me stop you right there. This may not be laziness at all. In fact, instead, this might be a disconnect between your expectation and their behavior. And they're carrying out this disconnect day and day, drains you, and it impacts the other team members as well. Here's what it looks like in real life. You're running meetings to get everyone on the same page, but it never seems to stick. You're carrying the frustration while your team looks disengaged. And if you're honest with yourself, you're wondering, why don't they care as much as I do? Or why does it feel like I'm babysitting instead of leading? It doesn't matter how difficult that team is. It's still a gap between your expectations and how they are currently choosing to operate, which realistically is based on your misaligned leadership. Now, I define misaligned leadership as the gap between you being called a boss and actually leading in the way that people want to follow you. Leaders get stuck here because they misdiagnose the problem. What looks like laziness or toxicity really is three common breakdowns. Now, when you're in the government arena, this miscommunication can look like all types, but today we want to focus on when the old way clashes with the new expectation. When clarity breaks down, I had a team member, let's call him Michael M. He's been in the department for 10 years. Loyal, trusted, full of institutional knowledge. But when he trained new hires, they quickly grew frustrated and even shut down and shut him out. This happened twice. I heard he's not pulling his weight. The real issue was a communication breakdown. Michael M. was modeling the way things had always been done. While I hadn't reset what done meant under my leadership, that wasn't laziness. It was misalignment. The second thing was mismatch of motivators. Not everyone is driven by the same thing. Some people in Michael M. roles saw this as a stepping stone. They got in it to get promoted. They were motivated to move up and move out. While Michael enjoyed his role, but based on what past leaders assumed, he was stuck in this. They thought he was content. In reality, he wanted more, but wasn't sure he really wanted to take a risk. When you've been in a role for 10 years, it gets a little dicey when you think about moving. But his real motivators weren't recognized. He ended up looking disengaged. The third breakdown is inconsistent accountability. When standards aren't enforced consistently, trust erodes. In Michael M.'s case, I let other fires take priority instead of addressing what the team members had already informed me about what was happening and what was causing low performance within my team. That delay created more errors, more frustration, and eventually it led to Michael M.'s attendance issues. It was true breakdown. By the time I addressed it formally, things had already escalated. Don't let this be you. Michael M. wasn't the problem. My inconsistency and accountability made the situation look worse than it really was. Michael M. wasn't hard to lead, and his struggles weren't about effort. They were the result of three breakdowns: the miscommunication, the mismatched motivations, and the inconsistent accountability. Once I was able to shift my leadership skills in a way that served me and served him, I was able to see that Michael wasn't lazy, he wasn't checked out, he was loyal, he was valuable. I shifted my leadership to address those three areas. I saw the truth. It was the unchecked disconnect that made him look like the issue. Now, disclaimer, let me be clear, not every team member is a Michael M. Some people will keep resisting clarity, accountability, even growth when you give it to them every chance they get. So don't get it confused. In those cases, you may need to cut your losses. And we'll have plenty more videos in the future to discuss that. Here's the shift I don't want you to miss. Wouldn't it be nice if leadership was simple? If you could just show up and not worry about all of these things, all of these feelings, all these emotions. But the reality is, in 2025 and beyond, we're leading in a time of the quiet quitting, the Gen X stare, and shifting workplace expectations. With today's working culture, these aren't optional. You having leadership tools and skills, these are what every leader needs. When you fix the alignment, you fix the performance. Clear communication gets you no more second guessing. Not on your end, not on your team members' end. When you align motivators, real energy for the work enters the room. When you're consistent with the accountability, trust in you and in the system is formed. That's when your team stops looking like the problem and starts showing up as if the solution can be done and it's their solution, right? This is exactly why I help leaders uncover, and this in a leadership alignment blueprint call. It's a short, practical session where we pinpoint which of these breakdowns is costing you the most and what small shifts will get you out of the frustration mode fastest. It's not about fixing your people. It's about realigning your leadership so that they can thrive. And then you're successful. But don't stop here, because there's real power in knowing how to apply this, even as quick as tomorrow. And in fact, in my next video, I'll show you the one leadership move that works on any team member starting as soon as tomorrow. It works whether they're disengaged, resistant, or just difficult to deal with. So click through, watch this, because your next step to leading with alignment without burnout or lowering your standards is just around the way.